That's what AI has become.
Yeah, yeah, that's humans.
Very dark.
Yep. Humans are dark, but they say each, it also reflects what you've been searching. So
No, no, this. Well, yeah.
somehow it got to you, right?
No, I think it's just because my interest in baseball and
Right.
uh,
Happy baseball. I mean. Uh, okay.
was I forgot what the context of the video was.
Rabbit.
The Public Safety Committee will meet in person on September 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Located at 165
Get the other one.
second floor, Board of Alder's Chambers, New Haven,
Okay.
Connecticut, to hear updates from the city, police, and fire department. Per order, Brian Wingate, Michael Smart, City Clerk. If you need any accessibility related accommodations, please call 203-946-7651 or 203-946-8582. In accordance with the City of New Haven COVID-19 policy at meetings, public may send comments to public testimony at newhaventt.gov. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. I'm going to ask my committee before we bring the folks up on my right to introduce themselves.
Carolyn Thomas-Smith, Ward 9. Brittany May, Brian Blackboard.
Brian Wingate, Ward 29, Beard Hill. Frank Douglas, Ward 2. Please, I will ask the public safety team of the city to come up at the same time. And we can figure out who wants to go first. But I think you all come up at the same time.
8 for 4 years.
Okay,
First, he's gotta be in bed by 8:30.
okay. Thank you.
Keep living, youngster.
Since you insist, we're gonna have to find a way. Yeah, it's gonna be all in better respect. Smell what's Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Thank you.
John Alston, Fire Chief, 952 Grand Avenue, City of New Haven.
Chief Harris Samuel, Assistant Chief of Administration, 952 Grand Avenue. Good evening.
Assistant Chief Dan Saltzman, 75 Warren Street, New Haven. Justin McCarthy, Chief Administrative Officer, Tax.
Thank you. Forward, all of you. Well, good evening, and we want to thank you for inviting us to the Public Safety Committee meeting this quarter. We appreciate, as always, the support we get from the alders. We see you out there when we got our fire and events and the like, and call and check on us. We really appreciate that. We also appreciate you bringing issues to our attention that we may or may not have seen, because that helps us. I mean, it's very good. Well, of course, you're going to see some things immediately that need to be addressed. I'd like to split this up. We are focusing on three things. There's a third issue that will be in the news, if not this evening, tomorrow. State codes and standards. The standards are now allowing municipalities to have what's called single means of egress, so one way out of its domicile. And they are allowing that up to 6 stories. So the code is a little confusing. It says 5 stories above grade, but that could equate itself to 6 stories. And they're going to allow each municipality to determine what their capabilities are. And so what ends up happening is nothing against smaller communities. Smaller communities have the ability to inspect those places. We have LTI that can register those places. But what ends up happening is you cannot determine where the fire was going to be. You cannot determine the load in that. And we say fire load, we're talking about occupancy, that's use and contents. So you can't determine whether the fire is going to be in the bedroom, hallway, the living room, the common spaces. Well, you can't tell where it's going to be. So how can you determine that there's only going to be one way out of the place? When we even have times difficulties in a 2.5 story getting people out of attic apartments and places that have been modified. So Chief Coughlin is going to speak to the operational side of that. Chief Sanders was going to talk about how code enforcement is not hampered, but if this goes through for the city of New Haven, we are having difficulty keeping up with the annual inspections in multifamilies. Now we have that burden of making sure that we document, that we share in our pre-plans, these buildings that are now going to have single occupancy exits, single means of egress, excuse me. You're not going to drive by a building and be able to tell whether that's one of those buildings or not. So it's a blanket permission to allow them to do it. And so the Connecticut Career Fire Chiefs, we're concerned about that. They're going to address it tomorrow. The news is already calling for statements and comments for us. We're pretty solid on where we're standing with this. We understand that we want to increase the housing stock, both affordable and regular housing stock. We understand what that drive is. But from our side of the table, from our side of the street, it's the construction, it's the use and contents, the quantity, and the location of the fire when it happens. You think about it, even in your own homes and apartments, what's in the hallway? What's in the common areas? Strollers, scooters, shopping carts, carriages. If that's the only way out, and or if that's where the fire is located, then it hampers us. So I'll turn that over to Chief Coughlin to talk about our equipment and how we respond to those types of instances.
Before the chief, I get back to acknowledge all the choice leader. We need to do something.
Thank you.
So as the chief said, it creates a lot of operational challenges, right? So remember, if you're limiting the egress for people trying to vacate the building, you're also limiting our access to the building. And as he said, when you have strollers or things in the hallway, that's a tougher push for our firefighters. The more time it takes for them to get up the hallway, the greater the damage and the greater the risk of life. Fire triples in size every 15 seconds. So every 15-second delay, which going up the hallway like that is significant. There's also the issue of how to get them out, right? We only have so many ladder truck companies throughout the city. But it's also the most concerning part is if you look at old homes, the city is comprised of a lot of old homes. A lot of those old homes have had 2-3 fires in them and they're still sound as can be. They're talking about a 6-story home built with lightweight construction. And that is not a sound structure once it's been exposed to fire. So it's a tough push. It's going to put firefighters in danger as well as the public. So it's operationally going to be very challenging for us.
And if you want to see an example of lightweight, I mean, they're sound, they're built to code, but now you're hampering their means of egress and our means of ingress. If you want to see a sample of it, if you go to the corner of Chapel Estate, you'll see some of the older buildings that are 3 and 4 stories tall. They are juxtaposed to these lightweight constructed buildings, which are masonry on the first floor, and then the lightweight wood that's going up the other floors. Yes, they're covered with fire rated materials. Yes, they have fire rated doors, but you're still talking about limiting the number of the different ways that a person can get out and the ways that we can get in. So that's concerning to us, and I'm glad they're having public debate about it, but it's something that you're going to see that we wanted to make sure the committee was aware of. And if we'd like to talk about code enforcement and how it is with LCI and licensing.
Good evening. So as the chief spoke about, there are one of the things that we are concerned about with this whole movement. Now in the city of New Haven, we do have fire marshal's office and we have inspectors that do get out and inspect families as much as they can. But again, there's housing and there's times that we don't get into certain locations. As per state law. With the new single means of egress, what that means is it's a total operating smoothly. Operation smoothly, well, it's special lines. You would think of if you're living somewhere, 2 means of egress, 2 doors, right? Or this thing of it. And then put the public and off habits. So that's something that I'm very concerned about, and something that we should speak about.
We take questions.
Okay, I have a question. Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, assuming that this is this, it's got to be really effective. So how do you propose to get the word out to people about this issue, this concern? I mean, people don't think about this egress, this access. A lot of people got a lot of stuff in their houses, and never thought.
Sure. So currently there's public debate.
But I'm thinking about it now.
So currently there's public debate. It's drafted. Tomorrow is going to be an open hearing, an open comment. I've already prepared statements representing the city of New Haven. What my concerns are as the fire chief here, both operationally and code and the safety of our citizens, the safety of our firefighters. So we are in the conversation, if you will. Once that occurs, then it's up to us to push our delegation to assist us, and our professional organizations and our trade organizations, both with our unions, the Connecticut Fire Chiefs Association, all several different agencies. We're all on the same page for this from the fire side. Once we have said what we have to say and find out where they're going, you will definitely get that messaging out. I think it's important to work that through the CAO or mayor's office.
Chief, where, if I may, where's it, you? But so would that propose that you would be putting out some literature to send around to the families or whatnot? And yes, you gotta get people involved and really think about this.
Yes. And so I will share one thing with you, if I may. The bill addresses what we would consider R2, residential 2, which are apartment buildings, up to the 5th floor. And the scope of the bill is, I'm just reading this into your records, you have it in 2 minutes. R as in radio 101.1. And it only addresses those types of buildings. And our concern is the appendix, where they are adding to the existing code, which has been fine, the single means of egress. And so that's what we're going after, the appendix. Once we have made our presentations, we obviously will share that with our communities and through the mayor's office and get that out. And on top of that, I'll take the rest of the questions. I'll tell you something else that compounds that issue for us. If there are any other questions on this appendix first.
I want to access, are there any more questions in reference to it?
Okay, so our concerns are about the common areas where you would think you can get down the hallway. And fires are not like TV. Okay, on TV, there's lighting, the fire is bright, you can see everything. In a real fire, you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Right.
And from the heat, you have to crawl. I don't know what you have in your house, but I know what my hallway looks like when I go home. I know where everything is. Firefighters coming down my hallway, get me and my family out and we'll deal with the aftermath. But there's hoarding that goes on as well. So not only in the common areas, we have a hoarding problem. It's national, it's not just New Haven. We have a population that has lived through very hard times and are facing more hard times that do not want to give up their items. I mean, they're holding on to everything.
Yep.
We go into fires all the time. We see magazines from the 50s and 60s stacked, sometimes places you would never expect, in an old refrigerator, in a second bathroom. It looks like a filing room. Yes, so
The Jet magazines was good.
yeah, you get set. You said jet, and I'll stick with that. That's also adding to the fire thing. You think about it, it's adding to the fire thing. And even if it's not the heat, it's the smoke and the materials. So fire prevention week is next month, in October, and we are making a strong push. We're going to coordinate through the mayor's office, but we would just want to leave one of the flyers with you when you talk about public messaging, because there are several issues about it. There's several levels, if you will, to hoarding. Some may call it clutter, all right, and one person's home is another person's castle. One person's treasure could be another person's trash. Everyone has the right to keep what they have. We just want them to keep it safely so that we can get in and get out. Many times when we have these hoarding conditions, not only is it the fire load, but after you're trying to put the fire out and those stacks of materials are now wet, they can entrap firefighters. They can fall on them while they're trying to fight the fire. Because again, we don't know what you have in these rooms. So it almost also reaches not just the physical danger to us, but actually the folks that can be trapped. And we've seen it in my career, or you've seen it in your career, where we've actually gone in and never thought a person was in the room, and then found them later under their own debris, under their own materials. So that's concerning to us. So we're going to be addressing that. And there's also a mental health component to that as well. So sometimes it's seniors, sometimes it's folks who have limited mobility, so they can't get things out of their unit, and it stacks up that way. Sometimes they're living by themselves. So there's several different levels to this that we're going to be addressing it. But we're putting together the campaign. We just wanted to give you what it's going to look like, a draft of it. And then obviously we'll be putting out a presser through the CAO office as well.
Well, thank you for all this information. We should be paying attention to this kind of stuff as well. And, if there's any way we can help, we want to help. When we further,
We're definitely gonna push this out to your community management teams.
okay,
And obviously the leadership, we could give a presentation to you as well before we push it out, just in case there are any concerns or tweaks or changes that we may need. Because every ward is different.
that's right.
So we want to make sure that we address it and customize it to that, those residents and everything.
Thank you.
Other than the graduation of our recruits, overtime is starting to go down. Not significantly, but it's going down.
It's actually,
So it's, yeah.
compared to last year around this time to this year, significant difference,
Okay,
at least
cool.
50%.
Oh, wow. Ooh, I like that even better. Yes.
All the numbers in the press. What's the smoke detector? Yeah, status this year? What does it look like?
We've got some. If you want to give us money to buy more, I'm all in for that. But yeah, we do have some. If you got our numbers, you can contact us directly. We will make sure, and others have reached out. We'll get you what we have. Not just necessarily what you need, but we can get you some. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So Chief, there's I think what is it? There's a banner they're trying to push out for the fire, for the smoke detectors, for the smoke detector, for 10 years.
Yeah, the standard now is 10 years.
So like 10 years, you don't change.
You don't change the battery.
It doesn't, you don't have that.
Standard.
But after 10 years, it
It will.
back to the beat.
It will start beeping, yeah. It'll let you know when it's got 10% left.
Is that safer?
Yeah. As opposed to the 9 volt that everybody used to take out. And that was,
The fact that the battery is.
then it's gonna chirp. Yeah,
They also typically have a layout, so the 10-year ones will have a green light that would flash at intervals and usually it'll mark on there to let you know that it's working.
yeah. They're the better ones to buy.
Okay, I was just curious. I seen the whole thing going, I was like, I gotta ask the chief about that tonight.
Oh, no, 10 years is the standard now.
Okay, all right. Alder Smith. Ward 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, the chiefs, for coming and giving this presentation for all you do for the city. Going back to the policy around single egress, what is the current code?
The current code allows for 2 means of egress. The current code on the R2 apartment, you can go on, you search Connecticut residential fire code group R-2. Currently, they allow for 2 means of egress. The new update says, I'll read directly. It says not, this is the part that's confusing, not more than 5 stories. Such buildings shall be allowed to be served by a single exit stairway up to 6 stories above grade plane, where otherwise not permitted in other sections of the code, and shall comply with other provisions of the code unless otherwise constructed in accordance with the provisions of this appendix. What we are saying is the capabilities and resources of each department are different, and including our own. They're not being considered, and what we're pushing for is either a carve out, get rid of it, but we'd love them to do that. If not, then allow each, what we call an AHJ, authority having jurisdiction, that we would opt out of it as a municipality.
I get it. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. And is your sense that having 2 means of egress is important and critical for any home, or a home that's more than 3 stories, or what?
Yes. Yes, the more options that you have to getting out, the better survival for you. The better way that we can get into you. I'll give you an example where I live. It's a townhouse. It's attached on both sides. It's 3 stories. If one of us gets a fire, we all got a fire. I've got ladders in the 2nd floor bedroom and the 3rd floor because there's no fire escape. It'll be fine. The fire escape. But there's a tone that we all want. If you see us all do this, that's the phone. That one will be fine, but I appreciate it. So yeah, the more options that you have, obviously, because we don't know the location of the fire, where it's gonna start. That little kitchen, living room, hallway, we don't know. So the more options you have to get out or find a place of refuge where you can close the door, protect yourself until we get there, that's significant. If there's only one stairwell going in there, then you have to rely on our ladders. Do you know how cars are parked in our city? Do you know, Chief Coughlin added another truck, so that we get 2 trucks on every fire. Our goal is to get 2 ladder trucks. Let me clarify, ladder trucks in front of the building at all times. So if we can't get our aerial up, then we'll put ground leaders up. And if it's a situation like where I live, then at the very least ladder the end of the building, the end of the series of buildings, and work your way over. But that still doesn't get you out of that 3rd floor window.
Very helpful. And I'm trying to imagine the rationale for the policy change, like design flexibility, reducing housing construction costs. And I'm curious, because you guys been that throws this conversation. What you're saying sounds incredibly reasonable. What's been the response? What's the case for why having a single stair maintains?
The case goes to exactly what you were talking about, increasing the housing stock with the limited opportunities for modification. The easiest way to get another livable space inside and not be limited, not having to construct a 2nd stairwell or hand fire escape. Yeah.
Maybe just one last small question, if I may, Mr. Chair. And when you've, provided these reasonable arguments to say, hey, we're really concerned about safety, what's been the reaction? If you've heard a reaction of how it wouldn't contribute to decrease.
They are saying that because this is not what's going on tomorrow, and I'm sure it's going to come up. They're going to say because of the fire rated doors and the capabilities of the department, that a person can get out or at least have time for refuge. That's been the pushback from the other side. Our side is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would you limit at any time a person's ability to get out?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And up to 6 stories. That's the other piece of it. Literally, the Connecticut career chiefs are saying, not all municipalities, this is our response, not all municipalities have the appropriate aerial apparatus, personnel, or water supply to adequately respond to a structure designed using this appendix. So we're addressing literally this appendix that's being added to that code.
Well, thank you. There's no more questions. Thank you for your presentation.
As always, we're available.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. And remember, we're not the cops. This is a thing.
I'm random. Thank you so much.
I'm old enough to remember a peanut gallery.
Yeah, say stubborn.
They know we love them. Thank you.
When I just find the scenes, but hey,
have some more milk before I.
It's all right. You'll get there one day. Keep living.
I'll be 64, then 65 next year.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for that second. We appreciate that.
So we put together, Carl Jacobson, been being investigated at the New Lady County.
Like from out of 1 Union Avenue, captain's professional standards and administration.
Justin McCarthy, Chief Administrative Officer, 569.
Still at the fire station. Just checking. So we put together a brief presentation. If you want us to do that first, then maybe that'll answer a lot of your questions. There is a section on here, talking about the recent violence. So I want to turn it over to, Captain Fumiati, who's going to start with the first couple of slides.
Good evening, all. There's a couple of things here to start things off. Especially in 2045 was recruitment. We're focused on retention as well, which the contract we've seen has helped with that. Between morale within the department, but it's a little bit on that which out later on. the recruitment efforts, we have 19 recruits that were hired so far this year. That includes 4 that are in the Waterbury Academy that graduates tomorrow night at 6 p.m. They'll be FTL field training, and they'll be hopefully on the field by then we have our own recruits. There's 12 recruits in the academy in New Haven. They're slated to graduate on December 11th. Our large push right now is we just had a test for new applicants. So we're still currently working on a list of about 50 applicants, and then we have an additional, hopefully around 80. And so between that group of applicants, we'll have those 2 lists that we'll draw our applicants from for what we're looking for is our largest academy class of the decade. That'll be in January 2026. That's the goal.
That number is at least 30, so we're looking to seat 30 in January. And then potentially send 10 more to other academies. So we'll have up to 40 to 50 cadets going at the same time, which we really haven't had that in over a decade.
Wow. Thank you. So a couple of other things, some of our other goals are with those additional hires, we'll be promoting more detectives, sergeants, and lieutenants to different positions in the police department. The department remains 54% minority and female. Just to look at that's our new recruitment campaign. You'll see the highlights there. What we found is that the additional day off per week was a large driving force for people applying to be in the department. Also, our community policing efforts have spread amongst the state. And so even officers who are trying to laterally transfer in talking with Sergeant Finch, who runs our recruitment, he said that a lot of officers now, we have an increase. We never had people lateraling into the police department. Now we're seeing 3, 4, 5 people from different places that are applying to try to lateral in from other departments. They're interested in doing proactive police work. Working for the community and with the community. And so that's largely what we're hearing from a lot of our new recruits and also from the lateral transfers.
And then just to add to that, so you're familiar, we have the sick time backup list, so we at least have 20 people leave in retirement. So 7 people have signed up for that, but only 4 have left. The other 3 chose the drop plan. So that new contract is working. So of half the people who have retired, half have decided to stay on the drop plan. So it's doing exactly like we asked, and we appreciate your ratification of that contract because that's a big deal. We also lost about 15 officers to other departments last year. So far this year, we've only lost 3. And most of those scenarios were they went south because the family was there or some kind of scenario other than, hey, we're leaving because we're not high paid or we don't have time off. So we've really turned it around in that manner. So we're doing much better with that.
Additionally, we invested in a media and social media campaign. So you've probably heard some of our radio ads on WPLR, encouraging people to get the word out that the new police department's hiring. If you want to be a police officer, this is a great place to do that. And so that's the messaging that we've been putting out. Is if you want to be a cop, I'm just going to be a cop here.
So we're going to move on to the recent violence and our violence reduction efforts. Unfortunately, from 8/17 to 9/1, we had 5 homicides. We also had a violent sexual assault in East Shore. So we partnered with our intelligence meetings and we reviewed all the cases and we work with every single New Haven department, but also our federal partners, probation, parole. So right when a major incident happens, that next Monday, we review everything and we have these meetings Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's kind of all in effort. So, hey, so-and-so was shot and killed, or so-and-so was shot. Who's their family members? Who do they run with? Who do we need to talk to? And then we go out and systematically do things like maybe we put a couple of people on GPS, which we did in these cases. Maybe we just knock on doors and say, hey, your family member was killed. We got you. We're going to do everything to solve this case, but you've got to give us time. And a lot of that messaging helps. I mentioned the probation and parole GPS, the custom notifications, so there's that knocking on the doors. And then we also put our resources together with our intelligence. So we still are short, even though we're heading in the right direction, we're still short. And instead of flooding areas, we systematically put cars and personnel in areas where we think the retaliation is going to be. And knock on wood, to this point, even with those 5 homicides, we hadn't seen retaliation because we got ahead of it in the first one. None of those 5 homicides were connected at all.
which is very, very rare. 29 years in law enforcement, to have 5 in such a short period of time and none of them be connected is really different, right? But we did solve 3 of the 5 murders. One was a double murder. Dickerman, that was solved with an arrest. And then the downtown murder, there's been 3 arrests for that murder as well. So then we also made an arrest of the sexual assault offender. I'm sure you saw that. We did some messaging in those neighborhoods like, hey, we did that as quick as possible so that the people in that area would feel safe and come back out to the parks. And we've actually seen that. We've seen it busy out there. I've gotten emails from community members saying, hey, thank you. The day after the arrest, the whole park was full of people. So it's real important to not only make those arrests, get that word out. And, during that time, we put extra officers in that area so people would feel comfortable being out. And we're going to continue using these methods. We're working directly with CTV, yard, all of our partners sit and talk about what we are to do next to stop the violence. And in this case, 5 homicides, and we're on the other side of it. And we've been really seeing a good positive result in the way of arrests and no more shootings. We've had 1 shooting since that homicide on the 1st. So that's miraculous when you think September last year, from the 1st to the 16th, we had 17 shootings from the 1st to the 16th. Since then, we had the homicide on the 1st, and we had 1 other shooting since then in the 16 days. So we're doing really well with our efforts to stop the violence.
If I may, as a community, very engaged in support of families.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it starts with the cameras, but we have gotten great information from people and great backup from community. We got, people they're doing what they need to do to help us stop the violence. So I can definitely say that. We've gotten great camera footage. We've gotten great statements from people. The detectives are working hard. I expect another arrest on one of those other 5 shortly. I expect an arrest on the double homicide from Winter Street in March very shortly. So we're really making progress. And it's, like I said, it starts with the technology, but it ends with the community helping us out. And we do appreciate that. One other note of the violence, we've really worked extremely hard to kind of take back downtown. There was noise issues, fight issues. We had a shooting, a murder down there. We have put our officers, we've used multi-jurisdictional units that we use for the stolen cars have been down there with us. And we have seized multiple guns downtown. We've given out multiple noise tickets. And, I think this is the first time that as chief, I got 2 emails from people that live downtown that they were able to sleep with their windows open because it's a lot quieter and a lot calm. So we've kind of put the message out there. This isn't a place it's a place to come and spend your money and have a good time. But then it's time to go home when it's time to go home. And it's time to, myself, I stopped a scooter that had huge speakers that was blaring music. And we gave the guy $1,000 ticket. He doesn't go around town anymore, he told me. So, so we've done a lot of efforts for that. The officers have done a great job. We're going to continue that. We're not going to let up on that. With school coming back and more students down there. But the message is come downtown and have a good time, but there's people that live down there and they need to be able to go to sleep, and we needed to get that under control. And we have to. So I'm extremely proud of the work we've done down there.
I want to stop right here. Any questions as we go?
Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, with the ammunition that you brought to the parent state, like, with the incident downtown, like we've seen video of that. I don't know how many shots that off, because it's like you would think it was fireworks at first, but it's like nonstop. But, what is that they actually use it, and what we done about that? It seemed like what they like an arm.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate overall, and I'm going to show you some numbers later in the presentation. We have a lot less shootings in the state. The problem is we have more murders. Those murders are perpetuated because they have weapons that fire more shots. So the downtown is a great one to bring up. We had on one side, we had a 30-round magazine being fired at one direction. Then we had a 50-drum magazine being fired in the other direction. Now, we've seized both of those guns. We've made arrests on people that possess those guns. And we're moving towards more charges. There's been assault first charges, and there'll be more charges in that case. I can't get into the depths of it because we need to sit down with the family of the victim, but I would say that multiple incidents are popping up with 30-round magazines. And then the other thing besides the magazines and the drums is what's called the block switch. It's a little switch that makes the gun fully automatic. Extremely dangerous. Now, I will say this, remember a few years ago, ghost guns were out of control. And I'm gonna give you numbers later. Ghost guns are starting to reduce because the ATF and legislature put stuff forward that made it, more of a crime. We got more time for ghost guns. And we've started to do that too. So just in this state alone, there was a bill that went through related to firearms that actually the mayor and myself worked on with other big city mayors. If you have a Glock switch or an extended mag on top of having a gun illegally, you have to pay 30% of your bond in cash. So that is keeping people, they're realizing, man, if I get caught with this, because, listen, I'm been doing this for a long time, and I know people truly do carry guns for protection. Well, don't carry a 30-round magazine because you're gonna have to pay 30% of your gun. If you're carrying a 30-round magazine or a 50-round drum, that's not for protection, clearly not. So, some new laws have been taking effect, and then our partners with ATF are specifically targeting block switches, how they come through the mail. It's a federal crime to send a Glock switch from, say, New Jersey to us. So we're really clamping down on it. And I'm hoping that the result from the ghost guns, how they have lowered in numbers, we get that same lowering. But that's a great question because, I'll show you later. We have 40 less people shot in this city, but we have 5 more killed. And it's because of the type of weapons being used. And that's a scary thing.
I think the chief, that's definitely needed and it should be able to deter them from wanting to carry something like that. Because like I say, when I heard the video, seen the video, I was like, what is that? Like it never stopped, huh? It just kept going on. So I'll try to have something that's being put forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Please proceed. Captain Fumiani is gonna go on. You're familiar with their technology, but he's gonna just hit a couple more points on the technology side.
Yeah, so we've expanded our recon and APR cameras, so we're over 250 of those cameras around the city. We officers are using Star Chase, which is the GPS technology that will stick to a vehicle that's attempting to flee from officers. We're also using stop stick technology, which we never had before, and so that allows us to stop vehicles, deflate their tires to prevent pursuits across the city. With that, Will Francesi, our new superintendent over the last couple of years, has really done a phenomenal job in fleet upgrades. So we have additional windows. You'll see those printers out in fleet. With the CDO's office, it's great to roll us out all those vehicles. Our fleet hasn't been in this good a shape, I would say, in at least 10 years myself. But when I first started, we had cars you could see through the floor, old Crown Victorias that didn't have computers in them, barely had a radio, and now we have some state-of-the-art technology in all of these, in most of our patrol cruisers. We're looking to upgrade that fleet and continue that over the next year. Additionally, we have the department's first EV electric vehicle, and so we had engineering was able to help us out with improving the infrastructure to charge that vehicle down in our basement, and so we'll be getting a second one of those vehicles within the next month or so, and that'll be rolled out. They've been used predominantly. We tested them out with our traffic unit, but we found so far that predominantly the best use for them is for extra duty while cars are idling. They normally would be burning fuel. Now on a charge, they can last about 50 hours. We hope that an officer's not out there for that long. They would be out there for that long, but we have the ability to, with just the heat or air conditioning and the lights, the basic electrical, that would operate for almost up to 50 hours. And so that's way longer than any extra duty job, but I think that increases safety on our the visibility of some of the markings on the vehicle on top of the lighting, allows us to have increased visibility on some of these longer construction sites, especially on the boulevard, Foxen Boulevard and LT Grasso, Whitney Avenue scheduled to have some renovation or upgrades to it. And so during all of those, vehicles like this will be helpful to one, save money, be more energy efficient, be kinder to the environment, and also provide for high visibility for officers in those circumstances. Additionally, so we're moving forward. We have a huge move in November 10th. We are looking forward to going live with our new computer-aided dispatch and record management system that's called ProPhoenix. That will go live. Started Lieutenant Marr and Lieutenant Hawley have been rolling that out. We've got a number of trainers within our department. That's been a citywide public safety effort to make sure that that was integrated. We're also working with Yale, both IT and the police department to roll out this new system. We've started training. A number of our trainers have already been trained, but that is a huge undertaking over the next 7 weeks to train everyone in our department in a new system. From what I've heard so far, the system's great. It adds a lot of, it integrates a lot of systems that we have in different places. Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains just because new technology is that way. But so far, what I've heard is that the officers, it will improve our operations and streamline a lot of our reporting and information that we're looking to collect. And we're also, we're upgrading with the times with our new firearms. And so we'll be getting Glock 45 caliber handgun. I'm sorry, excuse me, Glock 45 model handgun with a red dot sight. I think we brought that up and chatted with you about it before. I'm happy to talk about that more. We're also getting the new Taser 10. Taser 10 is new technology. Taser 7 has upgraded to the Taser 10, which is just new technology to integrate with Axon, which is our body camera provider. We're also upgrading all of our body cameras from Axon 3 to Axon 4. You'll see that in here as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about was draft 1. I believe we are the first department in the state to try this one out. We are testing it out amongst a small cohort of officers that have been testing it. We've only written 103 reports with it. We wanted to make sure we got it right. We didn't want to rush this technology at all. But so far, it seems that the officers who have been using it, they said that the feedback has been fairly positive. We're phasing in a couple of different calls first. So things that are non-criminal would be first. So lost and found property, just a stranded motorist, alarm calls, parking complaints, individuals who were struggling with emotional disturbance, but that were not sent to the hospital. Those are all types of calls that could be used with this technology, where officers would use the draft 1 AI case summaries. And so we are not rolling that out as aggressively because of our ProPhoenix rollout. And so come the springtime, we're hoping that the entire patrol division will be updated on this draft 1 technology, and that'll integrate pretty nicely with ProPhoenix. The goal is to have that done by June.
And I think that goes back to when we first talked about it, where we all agreed that it should go slow, right? And it took us a little while longer than we thought to get it even going. I think right now we have 25 people doing it. And then we decided, listen, let's pause going any further because we're changing the whole system. Draft 1, the way it is, will still interact the same way, but the record management system will be different. So instead of teaching everybody draft 1 and the record management, let's get them proficient in record management first, then roll out draft 1 further. So you'll see us, I think that was one of the suggestions that we go slow. Yeah, we're definitely going slow.
Yeah. I remember that. We had a really good conversation about that.
So we took
past 3 items we talked about.
Yeah, we took your advice and actually going slow. So
I think I'll continue on with transparency and accountability. I'll be brief with these. What we've seen is the Internal Affairs Division has closed over 60 cases. We were backlogged a little bit with a couple of transitions that were happening in the police department. So our goal was to be more efficient with those investigations, be more transparent with those investigations. We've been working with the Civilian Review Board and the Board of Police Commissioners to make sure that we are attaining those goals. We have a full policy and procedure overhaul with the Dago Law Group. And so we have a backlog of about 50 policies still yet to review and get out to through the process of approval. We also achieved tier 1 accreditation, and we're working towards tier 2 and tier 3 accreditation. We're able to move a sergeant into the role of accreditation manager, where Lieutenant Augusto had previously been wearing a couple of different hats, running internal affairs and accreditation. We now assigned Sergeant Melendez to take on that endeavor as a full-time position, just because of the needs that we need to meet tier 2 deadlines, and so she will help us be able to achieve that.
and then there's two things that you can see are a result of contracted people not leaving. We had a lot of people wearing a lot of different hats. Now, the accreditation is the state accreditation, which is mandated through the police accountability bill, so we have to get it done. We've never been accredited, to my knowledge. We look back 20 years, the department's never been accredited. So we are tier 1 accredited. We're working towards 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are kind of together. We're like 40% complete on both of them. So moving forward, that'll be good. But with the staffing getting better, we're able to put a sergeant in charge of it. The recommendation is that you have 3 cops doing it. We can't do that. But at least now we have 1 dedicated just to that. Also, internal affairs, you heard them, we're catching up the cases. That's real important because the cop doesn't want 2 things. You want the community member to get their answer, right? They put in a complaint, they get their answer. And also, the cop having that over their head for a year is not good for them either, right? Because say it is a training issue. Let's get it over with. Let's get them trained. Let's move on. So we've been able to fully staff IA and move those cases through. And so we're making a lot of headway. We're going to be in a place where a complaint comes in, it's done in 90 days and people have their answers. A smaller type complaint, right? So that's better for the community and it's better for the officers. You know, and not that I'm certainly not bragging about this, but in my 3 years, I've put up 13 people to be terminated. Now, some resigned, some retired, some did this or that, but that's definitely the largest number in a long period of time that people were terminated. So we're doing our job. We're supposed to be accountable. We're being accountable. That's what we expect. It's not something I like to do, but it's something that has to happen. And I'll tell you, the officers that are doing a great job, they respect it too, because they keep going out there and doing a good job.
I think one of the things to bring up on one of those incidents, not to belabor the point, but I think that our sergeants, our supervisors brought that officer to our attention. And so I think that's great that the system is working. The sergeants are recognizing the individuals that need help and should be coached and that make small mistakes, but then they recognize when people are making serious mistakes or serious misconduct, that then it's brought to internal affairs, brought to the chief's office's attention, and then we're handling those appropriately. So I think that's a really important thing to illustrate, that our supervisors are maintaining the task of not only holding officer training and working with officers, but also holding them accountable.
Absolutely. And then this slide is about the crime, right? And you know, you heard us, the mayor and I went and talked about crime being the lowest in 30 years, and then unfortunately we had 5 homicides, right? That stuff happens. But if you look at these numbers, they are, besides the homicide where we had 8, we had 8 last year, at this time 13 now, that's up 50%. Robbery of firearm, 47 last year at this time. We're only at 24, it's down 50%. But those are very traumatizing incidents as well. You're robbed at gunpoint. Assault with a firearm, meaning someone's actually shot. At this time last year, we had 71 people shot. We only have 26. So that's down 64%. And I'm not just saying the police take credit for that. The entire ecosystem of really resilience, CTVIP, and all of us working together hand in hand and sharing information is what's working. Burglary, down 40%, 330 to 197. Even motor vehicle theft, which we've struggled with, is down 28%. And then a big number, confirmed shot fired, because that's an indication of how many shootings you're going to have in the future. 113 to 72 is down 30. So you see that we're making headway. Things are going in the right direction. But it's unfortunate, and I think Peter hit that nail on the head when he said about the high capacity magazines. I think that's leads to a higher, unfortunate death rate. But with these numbers, you're going to see us, if we can continue this trend, you know, when you add the numbers of people shot in the city, you have 79 last year, and you have 39 this year. 40 less people were shot. When I look at that, I look at the trauma of the family, the person shot, and everything that involves in that, right? The retaliation. I mean, it just shows you that we are truly going in the right direction. But we have more work to do. We got to make more arrests on these homicides. We got to continue to take the guns off the street. If you look at the gun numbers seized, they're about the same. Actually, ghost guns are up to 20 from 16 last year. But the year before they were down significant, like 8 or 9 for the whole year. So I think it's important to show this. But it's also important to listen to the needs of the community who, after hearing 5 murders, don't feel safe, right? So we have put out more walking beats, we put out more crime suppression beats, so people see us out there and see the work that we're doing. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna take over the community reasons.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things that we've improved on, as the chief mentioned, as our ability, instead of having lieutenants retire or upper management retire, they remain in the department. And so we're able to add additional district managers. And so when I was a lieutenant, I was I had Fairhaven for quite some time, almost 5 years, and I took over East Shore. That was a challenging job, to say the least, to have 2 districts of that magnitude, including the airport and Route 80. But so when I left that position, when I was promoted, I gave that position, or Sergeant Operato took over. He was managing 2 districts at that time, which is quite an endeavor. Districts 8 and District 9 take about 30% of the calls for service for the entire city as 2 districts. And so as a district manager, as a sergeant, he's done a great job over there. Additional district managers, Lieutenant Matt Krasinski was promoted and was able to take over that position there. We've increased crime suppression beats in the areas to take targeting enforcement. There was an initiative, Familiar Faces Initiative and Quality of Life, rolling that out both in Fairhaven and the Hill, and expanding that now to all the officers across the city. We also rolled out Narcan, and so our officers carry Narcan. We've had 12 Narcan deployments where officers were able to respond on scene, recognize that someone was having an opioid overdose, and reverse the effects of that overdose 12 times in our city, which is incredible. Officer Parati was instrumental in installing that program, training everybody in our department and keeping track of that. Now we continue to work with Compass and a number of our different partners, both in city, within city agencies and in the community. We're rolling out a clergy academy in October. And so there'll be a number of local clergy members that will be attending. We did one last year. We'll also do another one this year. So the goal is to have a faith-based, if officers need that, or community members, in a way to connect with officers, community, and clergy.
And we're doing that outreach based on districts, so we're gonna have a church in every district that's willing to come forward and help us with canvassing and whatnot. We're also gonna have an in-house pastor, so Pastor Lewis will be our in-house police pastor, which will have ceremony for that. And I think it's a really, if you look back, the progression of the police department, not that Pastor Lewis was anti-police, but I remember being at a protest and him being there and us sitting down and talking. Now when things happen, he calls me, hey, how can I help you? How can I help the community understand the police, and the police understand the community? So I think we've come a long way. And that's one of the biggest things I'm proud of, is the hard work of the officers, but also them opening up to the community more and being more of a community policing agency.
Transition to the training and officer wellness. And so as an initiative, the chaplaincy program will help officers, if there are officers that are faith-based, that wanted to seek the services of a faith-based leader to deal with some of the traumas and things that they experience on the job. We're happy to offer that to officers and also build that bridge with the community. We have a large-scale renovation of our 200 Wintergreen Academy that's in the process of being constructed now. Over the next couple of weeks and months, they'll be rolling that out, hopefully in time for our new academy in January. We've had advanced training for officers and supervisors. We've rolled out a ongoing supervisor training that is done online, that officers, so far the sergeants have had good feedback on, around different hot topics that around the country for modern policing. We have a brand new Sorinex fitness facility at 1 Union Avenue that was purchased through grant funding. That facility looks like a smaller D1 gym. If you were a D1 athlete at UNH, it looks very similar to that. We based a lot of the design on it from that. So historically in my career, I've seen, you walk by and you see like the 1970s Gold's Gym style gym that we had, or how you see 2 or 3 officers working out there. Now at any given time, you'll see 10, 12, 15 officers working out in different equipment there. And so I think that's great. That changes the culture in our department around health and wellness, that people are trying to take the time, even though we're still mandating people and holding people over, they're still taking the time to invest in their own health and wellness with some of the great equipment we have. I'm happy that we've been able to, over the last couple of years, we've received a grant that you all approved from for a mental health clinician just for the police officers. And so we've recently just took a look at the submittals for the RFP, and we'll be announcing who will be taking that contract in the near future. And so we're very, very close to moving forward with that program.
And, we're just gonna continue to get them the top of the line equipment that we can, and, we appreciate all you guys approving the different grants and the money that's come forward for that. And keep working with that community-based concept, because that's what New Haven's always done and what New Haven wants, and it's successful, We, as a chief, I reflect on the 16-day period where we had 5 homicides. And, I take it personally, you know what I mean? And a lot of these cops do too, and that's what people don't understand. But we knew what to do. We know exactly what to do. We show up at that meeting, we give information, we talk, we enlist the help of our partners, we go knocking on people's doors, we put GPSs on people, we arrest other people. We try to mitigate these circumstances with the least amount of arrests, and it works. You put a GPS on a guy and you tell him, give us time to arrest somebody, when maybe we could arrest them, maybe at a probation or parole violation. But you give them that break and you put a GPS on them and say, don't retaliate, and they don't, and then we make an arrest, that's a win. Because now they're not going to retaliate, hopefully ever, and end up in jail. So it's about keeping people out of jail, but putting the right people in jail. And, we're headed in the right direction, I think.
Any questions on the minute and on the?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain, for your presentation. Just first, a quick shout out to Sergeant Alvarado, Sergeant Lowry, and Lieutenant Mack. They've been such a pleasure to work with, and so responsive and so thoughtful. So just shout out to the 3 men. Just a couple questions. One about firearm policy. Are there any other recommendations that you will have at the local level or state level to help contribute to get guns off the street? Things like the 30% bond and cash, which makes so much sense. Anything else that you wish that we could put forth?
Yeah, we had looked at that with the mayor and his administration, and I'm a member of the CPCA, which is the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association. We lobby for certain things to happen to make the community safer. I would say that we need to go forward with, so that was a bill. I don't know how the length of that bill. And although I do like the 30% bond, sometimes that also gets people caught up that just, they can't get out because they don't have the money, right? So I think we need to be stricter on, mandatory sentences related to, not guns, because I think there are people that carry guns for self-defense. And I'm not saying that's right, but I'm not saying that we should lock them up for that. But the Glock switches, the magazines, the drums, there should be some kind of mandatory, you're caught with one of them, you're doing 3 years or something like that. Not a crazy mandatory, because I think this country went crazy with federal mandatory sentences. And, we saw for small amounts of crack, if it was your third offense, you went to jail for 20 years. That's ridiculous. But what I'm saying is some kind of mandatories related to those type of firearms. There were some other ideas too. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it's a constant conversation with police chiefs, mayors, especially the 4 big cities. We talk all the time. Very friendly with all the chiefs of the 4 big cities. So we are looking to that. And when we do come up with more recommendations, I'll make sure that we put them on to you guys too.
Thank you. And one other question, Mr. Chair, is about draft 1. I imagine the criteria you use to evaluate its advocacy is increase quality of report and decrease time for the officer. Would you say that is accurate? And if so, how's it been with those first 25 that back to work?
Yeah, we've seen it improve. People who were already proficient, they've gotten better, and we've seen people that were weak get better as well. Definitely both of those are our measuring sticks, and we've seen increases in both. We just unfortunately didn't time it well with the new system coming in, or we'd be rolling it out further. We're not seeing any errors like, the fear of AI and the fear of things being put in there. because the officer still has to read the report and sign off on it. I think it's something that will work. I think we gotta get to the point where we use it for more stuff. Cause it's very helpful. It picks up conversations, cause the body camera does, and it prints the conversations as well, which is important. You might not put that in your report because it's too long. You might say, see body camera. Then what happens if it ever got deleted, right? You could actually, that goes in word for word. So, I really see it being a positive right now, but we're gonna, continue to slowly roll it out.
I think one additional thing is that we have a lot of young officers, and so what it does is that once you do a burglary investigation, obviously if it will lead to an arrest. It kind of preps you with the questions that you should ask, and so it can be helpful as far as like these are the recommended questions that you would ask for a burglary, and if you ask them in specific order, AI will reinforce that by putting together a good product for you on the back end of it. And so I think from what we've seen is it's been really I'm glad that we rolled it out slowly, but it's been very effective.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All third, my bad. And then we'll go to on the street.
All right, so I just have one question. How could we help in our wards with the organizing of community policing? I know you mentioned Pastor Lewis, but how would that look? Us helping you out.
Well, I mean, with the lower numbers and the fact that a lot of officers were doing proactive stuff.
We send them over.
We kind of cut back on our community events. What I'm hoping to do this fall is kind of pick that up again, do more community events. We need to get that word out to you, so you guys get it out to your ward, whether it be something small like coffee with a cop, or we had a huge one, that Daniel Hunt did for us, pizza. Yeah, that was huge. That was great. So, continue to work with those district managers and think of ideas that your community members want to see us do, like that pizza one. And the DMs, we're gonna start giving them more and more authority and ability to do what they want to do. They even have a small community policing budget. So, definitely reach out to the DMs and work together to build these events.
And this is the community.
Yes.
Okay.
On the street.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question. I have make comments. Chief, I really appreciate, how accessible you are.
We can print it out, man.
Even when we call you, you answer your phone. And it's all appreciated. I want to see you doing a good job.
No, you still have to bring it here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All Douglas. Coming forward. Finishing up and solving that case. I just really appreciate all the work that you've done.
Thank you.
But it's been a while since we've seen that guys. And we also want to say thank you. We want more grants to come. So we can pass this stuff through this great department that we have, and thank you sincerely in reference to solving these murders, right? One murders too much, but y'all guys are on it, and it comes from the leadership that that you get it, right? The training, the development, the technology, the things that you ask for, that we push forward as a board, right? That we want to assist to have a safer city, and I'm proud to say that y'all guys are on the right side of this stuff. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. I've been sitting here a long time. Like everyone else.
That's what Mike is sponsored.
But keep doing what you're doing. And I know sometimes on the outward appearance, it's like, so many murders is happening and stuff like that. Sometimes it get lost in translation that the police officers have to deal with it, right? So, by us pushing for the mental health intervention for y'all guys, I think it's going to be wonderful. And I can only thank the team that's sitting before us with me, that they had that foresight to do those kind of things with the technology. So thank you to the team here that also pushes this for the right things for the police department. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, but I would be remiss to not mention my 3 assistant chiefs. They don't make overtime. They're not here tonight because I make them do everything that I did, right? And they're out there. Yeah, they're out there, yeah. But, I want to thank them, and I'd also like to thank our new CAO. I have not felt this supported by a CAO until, Mr. McCarthy took over, and I really appreciate his knowledge. I thought he'd be more partial to the fire department, but he's not. He's right down the middle and helps us move. And I just really appreciate it. And, you know,
If I can say what you said earlier.
I will say this, I appreciate the praise, but it's not us. There's those kids out there at 3 a.m, you know, going those calls and doing the best they can. And I'm extremely proud of them. But, and I'm thankful. The contract was a huge thing. And, all the other stuff that you guys have put for us is huge, and we thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, let's, everything you should.
See, and I can still get you better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, if I wanted to point out that we are also joined tonight by our new emergency management director. I thought this was a good opportunity to introduce Kayla Bland to the Public Safety Committee.
She could come up with a do something.
So I thought it was important for this committee, especially to get to know Kayla. She has taken over for Patrick LaBeouf, who had taken over for Rick Fontana. She was with the city previously and has been the attorney. So,
Welcome back.
Hello, I'm happy to be back.
So state your name and address and where.
Sure, Caleb Bland, 19 Ingram Street, London.
So what made you come back?
Well, I moved to DC and that was too big of a city for me, honestly. I did emergency management for the House of Representatives. It's a little crazy down there these days. So. A little bit. So I missed New Haven and I talked my poor husband into to moving back and we're really happy to be here.
You're happy back. Happy back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just welcome back.
Yeah, I've got my card, so I'll share it with you all, and if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. If you have any issues, they normally come around storm time. So I'll be waiting for them.
We have better pizza in here too. That's what they're not to the city.
Yes, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll continue to be there for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as this is a workshop. We will be put together at some point an agenda for us to try to help our public safety family on in 2026. And maybe what we'll be a pivot to have an agenda, what we want to do, what we want to see, right? Because we haven't had any voting items come in for us money. Like normally we had monies come in, grants that come in. So I've just been thinking about how can we support some of these initiatives. And maybe I'll come back here one night and we can talk about that. Okay. That's good? Okay. Thank you. I don't have to, but I tell them most to adjourn. Definitely. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a good night.
I got up there, when they had one clear from our wall, we got my other door, I thought to be it, came straight from here. Now I'm about to go be on it, and go give us something. Feed her, put her in the bath. Sorry, see you later.